Congratulations to him, though. All right, everyone, now on to a very important topic. We've been talking about tax season right around the corner, and as if filing your taxes isn't bad enough for most people out there, some accounting businesses are saying this could be the most difficult year ever to get your figures in line. And joining us now with so much more is Todd Culpepper from Culpepper CPA. Todd, thank you so much for coming in.
Great, thanks for having me.
Let's just start off. You know, people don't want to hear that right now, that this could be a very confusing season out there to get your taxes together. What are some of the factors playing into this right now?
Well, there are really a lot of reasons that this could be one of the toughest tax seasons ever, and I really think it will be. One of the biggest ones is, like you've been hearing a lot in the news the last couple of weeks, is the IRS budget cuts. This is now the 5th consecutive year of budget cuts for the IRS, now totaling $1.8 billion. Over that same time period, there's been 13,000 in personnel cuts. So the IRS is more shorthanded than ever. It's been somewhat of a snowball effect. So they're acknowledging that they're going to be shorthanded, and it seems like they're launching somewhat of a PR campaign to try to sort of reset taxpayer expectations and lower those expectations.
People at home hearing this, does that mean that if they have complications and they want to pick up the phone and talk to someone, that it's going to be hard to get someone, or does that mean that returns could be slower, or maybe all of the above?
I definitely think it's all of the above. The IRS has actually announced that you can expect minimum wait times of at least 30 minutes, and I think based on my experience, that would actually be an improvement. So I expect it to be significantly worse than that. Some other taxpayer advocate groups have actually estimated that only 47% of people will get a response at all.
Wow.
A point that the IRS has not even made an argument against. They somewhat agree.
That's a startling figure to think about.
Yeah, so less than half the people will actually get a response, and those that do will be experiencing some pretty severe wait times.
On top of all of this, some tax code changes to talk about as well, right?
Absolutely. It seems like something we talk about every year now, and 2014 is no different. We have more than 40 new tax provisions this year, most of which were implemented late in the year. So taxpayers were again somewhat in limbo for most of the year, with little time left to actually plan for those changes. So it's another thing that we're dealing with. Probably the biggest is the Affordable Care Act that you've heard a lot of talk about. I think although there's been talk about it for over a year now and people are somewhat used to it, I think the tax effect of that is actually going to be another surprise for people, because this will be the first tax filing season that's really affected by it.
I imagine people like you are very prepared for people who are going to ask a lot of questions because they don't really understand how this is going to impact their taxes. They were just happy to have health insurance, but maybe haven't looked this far down the road.
Yeah, I think some of the impact of that people haven't considered yet will be something that they realize over the next couple of months during this next tax filing season. People that probably were in somewhat simple tax situations before, maybe now the positive side is they have health coverage and maybe haven't had it before, but more specifically, those that are receiving subsidies for that will now have more reporting requirements, more tax forms to complete, further complicating situations that maybe weren't so complicated to begin with.
And Todd, all of this means a very busy next few months for folks like you.
Absolutely. It's something we've come to get used to, but I expect this year to be probably the worst. It's somewhat of a double whammy between the budget cuts at the IRS and the personnel cuts, and also, of course, the ever increasingly complex tax code changes.
All right. Well, I imagine we'll be checking back in with you. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone.